Welcome to SoFlo by Lucas Milliron. Lucas's latest collection of 13 short stories, ranging from the gross and silly to heart-wrenching thrillers of cosmic proportions. Join Lucas as he takes you beyond the beaches and shows you the dark side of the Sunshine State. Welcome to SoFlo, a collection of weird Florida horror by Lucas Milliron. Available January 14th, 2024. Pre-order now. Brought to you by the Evil Cookie Publishing.
Drew, hello. Bree,
Hi,
Danger.
everybody.
Yeah.
Hello.
Can I be heard?
These wonderful people.
We can hear you.
Good.
Right. Well, we're just missing.
Still getting settled.
That's take
your
your
time,
time. We're just chatting and giving Patrick a hard time that he's not here to listen to. So it's all right.
What's going
Oh my
on,
God.
party people?
There he is. Look at that. It's the man of the hour.
I'm dressed
Hey guys.
for success. Hello, Chad. Hello, Danger, Bree, Drew, Rhonda,
I wore
Brennan,
my
Candace.
most
Everybody.
festive sweater for this, so
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
It's very nice.
it's really
Oh my
pretty.
gosh, I
Totally
love it.
seasonally appropriate.
Absolutely.
It's good for Halloween and Christmas.
And Christmas. It's like the nightmare before
Yeah.
Christmas.
Listen, it's good for every day of the year. It's good for my
Yeah.
birthday,
It's true.
July 4th, all the days.
Does anyone have any questions?
Mm-mm.
Why were you late?
Tara
hell
found
of a
a
question.
tie. Tara found a tie for me
Uh-huh.
because
Did
he
she have
said
to tie it too?
on Josh and Tyler's episode that we weren't dressed and we were bummed. So for the
I was
last
dressed.
episode, I'm gonna dress up.
I
Nice.
mean, you should.
Yeah. So the 10 minutes was you looking up a YouTube video on how to tie a tie.
How to tie a tie.
No, that was Tara looking that up.
Damn, Brennan.
Everyone ready
It's
to
all
go?
love. Hey, Patrick, we were just talking
Hey,
about
Candace.
how you've officially held me hostage for an entire year now.
Huh? What the fuck are you
Her first-
talking
her
about?
My
first
first
episode was,
episode was
the-
the finale last year.
Oh shit! Yeah, I don't want to say the hostage part though. That might.
Yeah, blink twice if you need help. Oh, you're blinking.
That was like 7 times. What's happening?
I'm in the basement over here.
I make it cozy. Get used to it.
You know what? Are we ready?
I would like to be ready. Is everyone ready?
I'd like you to be ready.
Welcome to season 4's finale, and we are joined by. Oh yeah, I should say I'm Patrick R. McDonough, joined by my friend Brennan LaFaro. Say hello, Brennan.
Hello, everybody.
And our other friend Candace Nolo. Say hello, Candace.
Hello.
Okay, this is going to be requiring lots of breath. So let's start with Rhonda. RJ Joseph. Say hello, Rhonda.
Hey, y'all.
And Drew Huff. Say hello, Drew.
Hey.
And Bree Morgan. Say hello, Bree.
Hello.
And Danger Slater. Say hello, Danger.
Hi.
And last but not least, Chad Lutzke. Say hello, Chad.
Hello.
So we have seen a lot of awesome things this year from all of you guys, actually. And I want to start with, I'll go with Rhonda with what, looking back on 2023, what have you been most proud of that you've accomplished?
Well, two things. First thing, my little collection that I could was a Bram Stoker nominee and a Shirley Jackson Award nominee. That was really, really exciting. And also, we put out the first 2 of the novella series from Raw Dog Screaming Press. So the second one actually is up for pre-orders right now by Elmarie Wood, and the first one was Kate Mayamura. So I'm really excited about those. I mean, if y'all haven't seen those covers, they are beautiful. Oh my gosh. And then the books inside are even better.
That's excellent. Next, Bree Morgan.
Hello. Same question.
Same question. Yeah.
Outside of writing, I would say surviving in general. It's been a lot of change for me this year. I got married. I went on my honeymoon. Some job
Congratulations.
changes. Thank you. Yeah, so that's been an adjustment. Otherwise, I've been writing a lot more short fiction lately, but I finished my longest book to date, Tiger Cult, which comes out from Darklit Press next year.
Ooh,
It's I
congrats.
think 110,000 words, which
Wow.
is more than twice of what I usually write. So that's been just wild. And that whole process going with Darklit has been amazing. I'm sure Brennan can say nothing but good things as well. But
Yeah, Andrew's
yeah,
awesome.
I've
yeah.
want
So I would say getting all that done in 1 year.
That's excellent. I've wanted to read that book ever since I feel like it's been at least 2 years I've heard you talking about that book.
Yeah, it feels like it's been forever. Gabe says I had a couple pages of it when we lived in our old place, which would have been like 4 years ago.
Oh wow.
So that's crazy. But I think it was just like a story seed at that point. It wasn't
Mm.
anything.
Well, it just goes to show you, just because you're working on something right now doesn't mean it's going to sit back and hit the full manuscript by whenever. Drew Huff.
Mm.
Good
Well,
timing. Sorry,
it's all
my
good.
bad.
Um, well, I've got a lot of things kind of work. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Um, I have a few short stories I've had come out in various anthologies. Those are good. Very proud of the one I wrote for Hot Iron and Cold Blood. I was able to do a few of the rewrites for Divine Flesh and sell that to Dark Matter Inc. Very proud of that. For the first time, I was also able to get a book draft out without needing to do a page one rewrite. That was Exodontis. I sold that to Dark Matter Inc. too. So pretty excited about that. I did the edits for Freeburn, which is coming out in March 2024. And I'm going to see if I can hit like 35,000 words on the sequel to Freeburn, which I'm working on right now before the end of the year. This one, the sequel's, it's coming together, but I'm definitely going to need to rewrite some of it. Yeah, that's just kind of what I've had going on. My life's been pretty stagnant outside of the writing, but things are picking up again, so that's exciting.
Oh, that's great. Danger.
Hi.
Hey.
Oh man. So wait, what was the question here? I'm like the fourth person to go. We're just talking about what we did this year.
So yeah, first question was what is an accomplishment from this year that you're most proud of?
Oh, okay. I bought a new car.
Hmm.
But well, a new used car, but it's a nice new used car. So I'm in this position where I actually have a car that works for once in my life, and it's been pretty exciting because I can get around the places, which is good because I need to get to work and stuff. So outside of that, I've been writing, of course, and I released 2 books this year: Little Miss Apocalypse and House of Rot. So yeah, and they're still kind of chugging along. So it's great.
Excellent. And Chad, same question for you, sir. And Brennan and Candace, you guys are getting this too, and I'll throw it my way too after Chad goes.
That's big of you to throw it your way.
I know. I don't know how to do it, so you should do it. Chad.
I didn't get married or anything like that. So I guess it's all just writing. I released, I think, 3 books, 3 Smile Mile, Broad Street Bastard, and How the Skin Sheds. And then a couple of anthologies, 2 or 3, the Human Monsters one, and then the Morbid Allergies one with Shane and Mr. John Taff. And I think maybe another one, but I can't remember. I don't have them in front of me. A Crystal Lake one, I think. Anyway, yeah. And then I wrote, I think, 2.5 books. Actually, just this fall. So they're not done. It's just first drafts. And then at the beginning and then prepared for like at the beginning of next month with some books coming out.
Oh, you got some coming out in January?
I have through Cemetery Dance, and then one in February through Crystal Lake.
Oh, excellent. Brennan.
Ooh. So I would say the biggest accomplishment, shall we say, that I'm proud of is putting the cap on a trilogy and getting the last book out there in June. And I had a story collection come out in March and a standalone novella come out in September. But it was really, as much as I'm proud of those books, it was kind of putting the final chapter and nervously getting it into readers' hands and be like, did I even come close to sticking the landing? Is this a complete dumpster fire on top of two what I considered decent books? And reader response was good, so that was a big load off my mind. And it also convinced me that I am never, at least anytime soon, gonna write like a single arc trilogy again. That really just one big story spanning three books, because it's a fucking nightmare to keep track of everything, make sure all the plot points line up, and all that good stuff. I had a few stories come out. One in Dark Disasters that was released recently. I really like that one. I think that's one of my favorite short stories that I've released. Of course, Drew mentioned Hot Iron, Cold Blood. Briana was in there as well, and Rhonda wrote the foreword to it. That was a really, really cool anthology to see hit the ground. And I could blabber on, but instead I'll throw it to Patrick so he doesn't have to throw it to himself.
Thanks, buddy. So like you guys said, Hot Iron and Cold Blood. It's the first anthology I edited, and I'm super proud of it because I didn't know if it was gonna ever be published for over a year. So, and I got to do it with some friends, and new friends. Looking at you, Drew. That, and I got to forward an anthology, Candace's Dark Disasters, which felt really great. And then our newborn he came in our life in August. So that would be my three. Candace.
I'm on mute. Oh wow. Most proud of this year. I don't even know. Well, today I had a release for Desperate Wishes that actually came out in July as a limited edition to Thunderstorm. So I did the wide release for this month. It's actually um I'm gonna say that one is my most proud of accomplishment for this year because of the story itself. It's not my typical style. It's not what people are used to with me. So I'm gonna mark that down as probably one of the things I am most proud of for this year. And I also have officially transitioned my brand in Uncomfortably Dark into a full indie press. So we have signed 4 authors for next year, which gives me a grand total of 5 because I already had one. So there's that. I don't know. I released Dark Disasters, which is the third anthology in the Dark Cousin anthology series for the website. And I don't know, I think it was in 12 anthologies from this year and released, I think, 8 standalone novellas, novels, and collections
Whoa.
of my own this year and published 1 or 2 from like one. His novel came out. I published his collection last fall. So
Like
our
Ken and
first
Bob.
official release under the brand came out in September. That was not my own. So it was a big year.
Sounds like it.
Had some fun.
Congratulations.
Yeah, like you just said, we never made an official announcement because felt like we'd be stepping on Erica's toes. Erica, for those that are wondering, Erica hasn't been on for a while because she had a baby. So it's like we told her, we love her, family first. That's really our answer for everything. If someone can't make it, it's family first. Whatever is going on is more important than the show. So we still shout out to Erica. All the love to her. There's nothing but love and an open door. We already told her she wants to come back. But yeah, Candace has officially been on the show for a year. And like I told Brennan, she's made it better. They both made it better, and Erica did too, than just me doing it, because I don't know how the fuck I would have survived these last few years without them. Candace or Brennan, yes, I'm throwing it to either one of you. Take us to the next question.
Okay, so we just asked most proud accomplishment of this year. So let's throw it to what are you most looking forward to for 2024, whether it is a release or an event, one or the other, or both. Let's start with Drew, I guess, because she's looking at me.
I would say I'm honestly just really excited for Freeburn to get released. It's my first novel. It's my debut. It's coming out in March. I would say for events, I'm really excited to go back to working at my full-time job. I work in the trades. I really like it. Getting that sweet, sweet health insurance.
All right. Chad.
The aforementioned books, Bruises on a Butterfly through Cemetery Dance. Really excited about that. I'm probably even more excited about a book I wrote with John Bowden that will be going out through Crystal Lake in February, called The Bedmakers. Both are very, very sad books, of course.
That's not your brand at all.
Yeah. I have 3 hardcover limited editions coming out, and then one for a book that's already out, and then some other stuff, and then I'm sure I will self-publish at least 1 or 2 books that probably aren't even written. I don't know, that tends to happen, but yeah, I'm really excited about those new releases. I like starting a year with something that's already just going to where the year begins, and then right in January you get something new. I try to make that happen every year, and try to stretch them out, even though the first 2 are coming out like 3 weeks apart. Probably not great, but there was something else. I'm doing this YouTube channel thing with my wife, and I just spent a ton of money and a ton of time trying to the learning curve with all of this kind of stuff. So that's where most of my time has been, and hopefully that goes really well. And I'm probably most excited about that. And
nice.
Yeah.
What's it called?
I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
Sorry. I can't. And then there will be a Czech Republic is releasing a translation of, I can't remember which book it is, honestly. I think it's The Pale White, but I can't remember. And that's supposed to be out in 2024.
Nice.
Really quickly before we throw it to the next person, Chad, I'm curious. You mentioned, having a book out in January and another out in February. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you're kind of at a point in your career where you have, that Lutzke readership where that might not impact you as much as a newer author having 2 releases so close together?
No. I used to think that, but no, I don't, because I mean, yeah, there will be definitely my readership will get both of these, but there are things that I do get concerned about, because I mean, look at how busy we all were last year, and then we all are going to be having, and it's just this people right here. There's thousands of others that are releasing books, so you're constantly not fighting for, but you want your book on their shelf, you want their book in their lap on their nightstand, and there's just so many books to get to, and so to put them together like that, I'm not a big fan of that. I used to be like that, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's something I kind of worry about. But I'm very grateful for the readership, and I know that they will, the readership that I have will get it. But I like to, just like all of us, want to reach farther and more, broaden it.
All right. Rhonda, ma'am, what's your 24 look like?
Well, on the personal front, we have two more seniors coming out of high school next year. Like we're getting about two at a time these past couple of years, and I'm just like, not that they're leaving home, they're just leaving high school, right? But that's really exciting because they are my last batch of in-house full-time babies, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, they're actually like grown-ups, so that's exciting. I'm super excited about the Ghoulish Book Festival too, where Max Booth III asked me to be a guest of honor. And that is a huge thing because he asked me first. So it technically is my first time being guest of honor, although Halloween Hangover happened first, right? Like Max had asked me before that. Like it's really a great honor to just work with him and Lori Michelle and that whole Ghoulish Fest crew. I mean, like they are just wonderful. Like I'd have been going to the festival anyway, even if I wasn't one of the guests of honor. But like, this just makes it even more special.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to continuing to work on the academic tracks for the Stoker Con and for the Multiverse Con. So I think I've really found kind of a niche there with that whole academic spec fic kind of a thing as far as conventions are concerned. So I'm really excited about that too.
Congrats,
Nice.
Rhonda.
That is awesome. Let's see, we have Brianna up, and then so the danger.
Yeah, so it's hard to say what I'll be getting into in 2024. I'm very excited about Dark Lit and the Tiger Cult release. That has been coming for a while, and I'm so ready for it to get out there. I just hope that everyone enjoys it as much as I enjoyed writing it. I think we can all agree that that is what we hope for, but especially with this one, for me, this one is very, very much in line with the kind of horror that I want to write kind of forever. So, personally, it's important to me. And then I have the Fear Street anthology with Darklit that I edited that's coming out in, I believe, February. We had to push it because some of the contributors had some personal issues, but I'm so excited that it's finally coming out because the stories are so much fun. And I think everyone's going to have a great time with it. Otherwise, I have a project that I'm hoping to finish and potentially query, and then another one that I think I would like to submit to Darklit.
That's awesome. Very nice. Mr. Slater, sir.
Hi. Yeah, it feels so like early to talk about so many things because they haven't been announced or like they're still in the process and still in the stew. So it's not like, I mean, I'll be hanging out mostly because that's all I could say right now for most of these things. Wait, you know what? A book got announced, so I can talk about that. I have a book with Ghoulish coming in the spring sometime, I think. Okay. It's called Starlet, and it's about a aspiring actress who accepts an invitation to an A-lister's home in Hollywood and discovers the true and horrible secrets of the Hollywood elite. So it's a satire about movies and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that leaves my two illustrious co-hosts. So, Brennan, what's your 24 look like?
Very Western, which obviously means that I don't want to sell a lot of books. So I'm actually really, really psyched about this one. Sorry, Pat, that was not intended, as opposed to everything else I've said, that was not intended to be a dig at you. I will tell you the coolest thing. Yeah, this is, I'm really excited about this. If for no other reason than I have never held one of my books in my hands this far before it comes out. I mean, this thing is out in April, and I've had it on my shelf for like a month. But it's the sequel to Noose. Darklit is doing it. Candace edited it, and she did a phenomenal job. She will also be editing the story collection that takes place in the little town of Buzzard's Edge. That'll be out in October. And this one I haven't announced yet, but what the fuck. I worked with Thunderstorm Books to collect all the Slattery Falls books with a bonus novella. And that came out in September, October, and Crossroad, who put out the first 3 books, is going to do an omnibus that collects all of them. And they're, I believe, going to use Francois Valancourt's cover, which is fantastic. That dude knows his stuff. And I got to meet him in October. Really, really sweet guy.
Nice.
Candace, how about you?
Can we talk about me? No.
It would be the first time on the show.
Imagine that. Well, I have my publishing house that is opening up. So we have 4, 5, 6, I believe 7 total releases between the 4 authors, and then my co-authoring stuff with Mike. So I think between all of us, we have 7 releases coming out, not counting my individual ones. Event-wise, I'll be all over the place. I'll be at AuthorCon in Williamsburg in April, AuthorCon 4 in St. Louis in October. I'll be at the TBR Con in Knoxville. That's in September. And then the Texas AuthorCon, KillerCon. I think I'm scheduled for like 6. And then at AuthorCon 3 and 4 by Scares That Cares, I did get approval from those who are in charge to run my trauma and fiction discussion once again.
Nice.
I held it last year and it went over extremely well, which was incredible because, well, if you know me at all, I don't like the spotlight. I don't like to speak, and public speaking for me is a new thing. Imagine that. But here I am a year later on a podcast. But it went over so well that people were actually asking if we were going to have it again this year before the day was even over. So I will be having that again at both author cons next year, which I'm actually looking forward to quite a lot. So that's new and unusual for me. I think that's all. Just doing what I do. So that leaves Patrick, and what are you up to?
After this, Brian, take over with a question. Okay, so I'll keep it limited to 1 per question. Most excited for event-wise is we have our first live event. It's not, I can't say where or when on air, so that's not fun. I just realized that it's not, the details are not ironed down yet.
Or with who? This is a terrible tease.
Yeah. Well,
Terrible tease. But hey, since we're teasing that, I'm attending that. So you'll have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All 3 of us in one spot. The world is not ready. So.
Nope. And as far as like books go, I am pumped for the second anthology I'm editing, which will be with Joe and Keith Lansdale. And the table of contents is it's Surreal, who I'm working with. And I can't really say more than that. Geez, I picked 2 sucky ones. So I didn't write any of this down, so I don't know what else to say.
That's fine.
I'm just excited. It looks promising, and after like 6 years of only rejections and only a couple years of half of a dozen and anthologies to be accepted by, things are starting to finally click for me. So it feels good. Feels good to be on this side.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Brandon, your turn. Jump in, because
Patrick,
everyone is kind of, we're putting them to sleep, I think. So, shake things up. Like, I don't know what's happening. It's supposed to be a party finale, party time. Where's the champagne? Where's my ice cream, first of all? I'm going to keep going till you start talking.
I tried twice.
Can I tell you guys what I want to do in 2024? Okay.
Absolutely.
Please?
Yeah.
I want to make $520,000. And
Okay.
I don't know how.
That's a real specific amount, though. Is there a reason? Like, is this planned out or is that
Well,
just arbitrary?
well, okay. So the other day, my girlfriend likes to look at house listings that we can never buy because
Same.
we
Yeah.
are poor people. So, but there's all these
Same.
nice houses around us, and there is one that is huge, and it's only $520,000, which maybe sounds a lot if you don't live in a city, but I do. So, and that's kind of like a good price here in Portland. And so I'm like, I don't know how to get this. Okay. I write weird horror books and I'm a part-time pet sitter. So it's not really like super lucrative, but I have faith and I want to put it into the universe right now that I'm going to make $500,000 in a single year and buy a house down the street.
No, you laugh, but if you put it out hard enough,
Yep.
something will nudge back. I know from experience. Yeah, keep focusing on it.
Yeah.
It might be robbing a bank. That might be the way to go.
Hey,
Robbing a train.
Wait,
do they put money on
maybe a
trains?
train.
I just
think
thought
it
of
might
an
be like
answer.
150 years too late
Candace.
for that.
Get a couple gold bars.
Yeah. You got the mustache for it, though. You could absolutely rob a train with that.
I actually cut it a little shorter. I did have the handlebar going. I just kind of I went back up to the Mario, which is what I kind of call it when it's like that. Yeah.
Nice. Patrick, you had another answer?
Yeah, it's obvious, but it just
Yes.
came back to bite me in the brain. I'm working on a book with Drew.
Oh yeah, that.
So I'm excited
I'm
about
super
that.
excited about that too.
Yeah. I knew about that, but
yeah, that's because you're editing it.
Yes, I am.
It's this really super. It's like Raymond Chandler meets Blade Runner. It's a really advanced.
Holy shit, that's a good way to put it. I never even.
It is.
You're
it really
smarter.
is. It's this awesome techno noir thriller. It's also got a little dash of The Matrix. Super awesome. We explore a lot of themes. It's great. It's great. It's also got so much action, comedy. It's just a good story. I feel it.
Nice.
It's coming together really nicely.
I finally get to put my experience and knowledge of pigs to use in this one.
Oh yes.
That's a good teaser.
Do you guys volley back and forth? How do you write together? I've always been curious about that. I can't it's such a weird solitary thing when I'm writing. How do you write with somebody? Like what do you do?
We had a Zoom meeting where we sat down and we ironed out the basic plot outline. We both write with a pretty loose plot outline so we can just kind of keep the ideas flowing. And so we nailed down like the big events, the emotional arc, like what happens, like the framework of the story. We saw it was good. We liked it. And then now we're kind of just writing scene by scene. Like I'll write a scene, Pat will write a scene.
Not in order. It's important to say we're not writing in order. We're just writing whatever scenes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of trying to like get an order here. I'm like, okay, we're almost to the doorway of no return. Detective character, world about to get rocked. But yeah, we're kind of just letting it go piecemeal. And then after we get the draft, the rough-ish draft together, we're going to start organizing it a little bit more. But this story is it kind of reminds me of John Dies at the End, where it's got a lot of zaniness and a lot of excitement and action. So the piecemeal kind of effect works pretty well.
Like John Dies at the End has that kind of like episodic nature. Yeah. So like there's there's little stories within the bigger story kind of deal. Yeah. Cool.
It's a funny movie too. Chad, what about you? You've co-written with a few people now and again.
Yeah.
What's your approach?
It's different every time. It depends on who I'm writing with. If it's with John Bowden, we connect really well. Things are seamless. We mimic each other very well. So at the end of the first draft, you can't tell. Even we don't know who wrote what, and we will forget. But I've written with people who have a completely different voice than I do, and I've done it where we'll have like an outline that we go by, and then they will write a chapter or two, and then I will write some stuff, and then I go back and I one author in particular, I'll either rewrite the whole chapter or revise it or throw it out. But it worked. And I mean, if both of our voices were in there, but sometimes I've had to, and I just did the last collaboration I did through the fall. I did it live. Every brainstorming session was like from the very beginning. We didn't know, and we did it all live on YouTube. And so people got to see how this kind of thing works, because I get asked this question all the time, and in the way that we were doing it, it's like that. And then sometimes you just pass the ball back and forth. And but usually the way I do it with John is often like we don't have a true like outline or just sometimes not even a direction. And then we will just and then kind of an outline will fall into place, and we'll be like, this is getting boring. We need to come up with something, and then it will change the whole thing, and we might have to back up. And yeah, there's different ways to do it. I have a friend who co-wrote a bunch of books with somebody, and one of them does the entire first draft, and the other one comes in and does all revisions. So you can do it like that too, as long as ego doesn't get in the way.
I feel like that second person has a much easier job. Like all the thinking was done for them. They're just like, oh yeah. I'm basically your editor at that point.
I guess it depends on how rough the first draft is.
That's true.
Yeah, fortunately, the two people where I came in and revised and even took out whole chapters and stuff, they're very laid back, and they let me be the control freak that I am, and so it worked out. Otherwise, I've co-written with people before where we got a couple chapters in, and either we both got busy with something else, or we just kind of like, it's like dating when you're younger. It's like you're going out on a couple dates or something, you're seeing each other, and then years go by and you're not with them, and you can't even remember how it ended. It just kind of it's not going on anymore. That's how a couple of these collaborations, real super tight friends still, but we just didn't finish. We just didn't do it anymore. Sometimes it just doesn't feel, feels like, I guess, maybe this isn't working out.
And it's kind of big to be able to recognize that and not necessarily push forward, because I mean, we've all had solo projects where we start and we said, oh, this isn't the one. You put it aside and you end up focusing on something new.
Yeah, and it's nothing personal. Yeah, exactly. And it's nothing personal or anything. I don't know that any of them I don't know that with any of them we had like a discussion like this isn't working. The last time it didn't work, it was funny because I'll just say the names. Hunter Shea asked if I wanted to write a book with him. I was like, yeah, let's do an alien abduction book. He's like, you'll write an alien abduction book? I was like, yeah, wouldn't you? Because obviously he does the cryptid stuff and the alien stuff and all that kind of stuff. And so I was like, yeah. So we started working on an outline. We were throwing, chapters back and forth. In the meantime, James Newman reaches out and said, let's write a book together. And I said, I can't because I'm writing with Hunter Shea. And he's like, oh man, that sucks. And then Hunter just starts ghosting me. And I'm really close with Hunter. I've got the podcast with him every week. Love the guy to death. But then so I start poking fun at him, and I still do it because he just started kind of ghosting me with this project until it was like, okay, I know what's going on here. We're done, aren't we? And so we joke about it. Then I reached out to James Newman. I was like, dude, let's do it. I'm ready. And he's like, oh man, now I'm writing with so-and-so. So, and I don't want to spoil their project, but I went back with Hunter and I was like, James Newman, dude. And then here you ghosted me. So I missed out.
I'm surprised. I've met Hunter and I've talked to him a few times, and I'm surprised with his personality that he would go with someone. He's pretty upfront and unashamed.
Yes. Yep, he is.
Right. All right, so let's change our tack a little bit. Let's talk marketing, because all of us are working with presses of various sizes, but it doesn't matter because you are still your own marketing genius. So What is something that you do that you feel like is either unique, special, or you just feel like you could give as advice to somebody who is just lost in the marketing mire? Briana, I want to start with you.
I am muted. I said, oh God. I don't want to give this answer, but I'm gonna give this answer. It's TikTok. I hate TikTok. I hate it so much. Every day I'm on it, I hate it. But it has done more for me than Instagram. After being on Instagram for like 13 years, it's done more for me than Twitter. It's done more for me than literally everything. And yeah, I don't necessarily think I'm the best at it. I think it's just a lot of people in our genre are kind of afraid to really throw themselves at it. And with TikTok, the big thing is you have to be willing to look a little silly or a little not cool because it's very much, like a younger platform, and it takes a while to get used to the format and the trends and things like that. So for a while, you are very much just kind of throwing things at the wall to see what sticks, and you will look silly, and you will, you'll post videos that flop that you spent a lot of time on, and that's a bummer. But yeah, I keep telling everyone to get on TikTok. I finally helped encourage Gemma Moore to get on TikTok. And she's kind of found her own little way of doing videos there that fits her voice and her audience. And you don't have to do all the trends. You don't have to do the dancing. You don't have to do any of that if that's not your thing. You just kind of have to find what works best for you and what you can be consistent with and what you hate the least, I guess. That's how I kind of look at it. Like, what kind of content that can I make consistently that doesn't make me cringe or feel like I shouldn't be doing this, and I also want to add that this year I've really, really focused on kind of pulling back in a lot of aspects of my marketing efforts, in that social media used to be the first thing I checked when I woke up. And this year I try not to be on social media unless I'm taking a break or if I'm done for the day with my work, because when you have so many different sources vying for your attention, it's just impossible to get into that flow state that we all, we all cherish as creators. So I would say, don't be afraid to try new things like TikTok, and be precious with your time.
Nice. I do hate the TikTok answer, mostly because I am that person you mentioned that is very reluctant to get into those waters. But I love your approach of figure out what you're willing to do, essentially. Yeah. All right. Now I'm gonna have to reconsider that shit. Danger, how about you? What's the first step on the road to 520 grand?
Oh man, probably write something a little more marketable than what I've been doing. I mean, can I ask you, this whole TikTok thing, would this work for me as a 40-year-old dude? Like, I feel like people are gonna be like, get out of here, old man. Like, quit fucking trying to get your books in our faces, or stop trying to be funny, you creep.
40. Also,
yeah, I thought you were younger than me.
People would love that kind of funny, manic energy. I read House of Rot and I loved your use of satire. I mean, honestly, people on TikTok would love that. No, really.
I think you could do it.
Yeah. I've been on Twitter for like 15 years or however fucking long that thing's been around. And I've amassed a good amount of followers out there, but it doesn't.
It's a garbage fire.
It is.
They all are.
It's just spiraling, man.
I'm like in my own little world. Like I spend a lot on Twitter. Like I try not to get involved in any of the periphery things, the arguments, the dramas. I mean, I have my circle of people that I pay attention to, the people that I have connected with either in real life or online at some point. And then there's kind of a little outer ring of people that are like, these people I know are cool, but I don't really know them super well. And then there's like everybody else, 95% of everybody else, and it's just noise, and I don't pay any attention to it, and I just go, I'm gonna make my little joke on TikTok, on Twitter. I'm gonna respond to the people that respond to me, and then that is like my world. And maybe it's not gonna get me to $520,000, but it does make interacting on these sites, which is kind of a necessary evil for us authors, make it a little less stressful or like all consuming. Because if it doesn't have anything to do with me, it has nothing to, it doesn't even have a space in my mind. Like it's gone. So yeah, I mean, Twitter's been kind of my winning horse for you know, as long as it's worked. I mean, you know, we're kind of at the end stages of this platform. But
it's a Titanic, man.
Yeah. But you know, we're still there. So,
and it does feel like that 95% that you referenced. Like, I mean, whatever you throw at them, they're not going to buy your book anyway. They're just there to piss and moan. So
yeah, I mean, they got their own stuff going on too. You know, I could be in part of their 95%. Like, it's just there's too many human beings, and I don't just mean in the horror scene. I mean, like, it's just everybody talking at once about everything that's coming to their minds. So it's like you got to figure out a way to filter out
the amount of information that we were never meant to be exposed to on a regular, consistent basis. I mean,
I had to like kind of like decompress for a while. It's kind of during COVID, because I would go on Facebook or something, or one of these sites, and then you'd read these posts. It's like, my grandma died. And then the next post is like, hey, I just finished my book. And then the next post is like, I got a new kitten. And then the next post is, my kitten died. And then you're like, like,
whiplash.
This is not the way, like, you can't have a proper reaction to any of it. It's like, it's too much. And it was like really kind of messing me up. I kind of do what Brianna's been doing, and kind of like spending, like, I spend, social media is like a time. There's like a little time for it, and then I don't even log on for the rest of it. So like, I'll make my post, and then I'll check like 3 hours later and see if anyone responded to it, and then I'll scroll for like 10 minutes, and then, you know, that's that.
Yeah. The other thing is, I think it can be so easy to forget that, like, you know, we interact with our community and our people, and it can be so easy to forget that 95% of the world isn't thinking about books as much as we are. Like, I'm a teacher. Like, I work around intelligent people who should be very literary, and like, it's even that, it's just like they don't know as many authors as I do, and that sounds so goddamn pompous, but it's like, we forget that, you know, if we look at the 5% versus the 95%, well, the 95% are probably reading less than 5 books a year, which is horrifying to me. But if we can kind of find our place and cater to that, and say, you know, hey, you people who are reading upwards of 50, 70, 100 books a year, like, let me tell you about Danger Slater here. Let me tell you about House of Rot. Let me put this on your radar.
This is not an original thought of mine, but this is something I've heard about. If you have 1,000 people who are paying attention to what you do, and you are consistently giving them new things to buy, like creating new books, creating new art, whatever you're selling, and they're buying it, 1,000 actual fans, you have like a real career. Like, you're making enough money to just make enough money doing that. So, and when you look at like, oh man, I'm not gonna sell 1 million copies of this book. Well, like, no shit, but you don't need to. You just need to keep writing books and have 1,000 people buy them. That is doable for almost every artist if they're making, number one, quality work, and number two, trying to find readership.
Oh, I like that.
There's almost 8 billion people in the world, so yeah, a lot of us speak English too, so that helps. Plus, you got the translations, right? Here, Chad.
Well, probably like 6 years ago, my answer would be totally different, because 6 years ago, I hopped on, I think it was Instagram, and I did a search for certain hashtags or keywords or whatever. looking for stuff like Boy's Life, like people like Bookstagram people. I didn't know what Bookstagram was. I was just trying to find people because nobody was reading really anything. I think I had like 3 books out by then, and nobody was really reading much anything of mine. So I reached out to like, I think it was 4 people who were fans of like coming of age stuff, and I asked them, would you I sent them messages, and I said, would you be willing to, or do you want to take a look at my book that I wrote, it's coming of age? And they said sure. And boy, that was that took off. And that's like that decision to do that and to pick those 4 people changed everything for me. And that's how I developed a readership, because these people had reach that I did not have. And that doesn't work as well these days. I did the same thing recently when doing promotion for Bruises on a Butterfly, but I reached out to people from TikTok, and I tried to find people that didn't know who I was, or that had big followings, and I did the same thing. I think I reached out to like 30 people, and I probably heard back from like 15. And I was able to get my book into their hands. Hopefully they'll like it, and hopefully that their videos will. But I try to find people that would not just that read, but that would, like I said, if like Boy's Life, not that Foster Homes and Flies is compared to that, like, enjoyment wise, but it would be on the same shelf. If you're looking for coming of age. So I tried to find people who would, the same thing with this other book coming up. So, but I've also messed around with Amazon ads and Facebook ads. First couple times I did Facebook ads, it did not do well. Then I think I read a book on Facebook ads, and I saw a very thorough video, and I followed this guy's instructions to the T. Did much better. I think I went above breaking even, so I didn't lose any money. I did Amazon ads a lot. I took a course on Amazon ads. I've read 2 or 3 books on Amazon ads. I have a good friend who has become extremely successful with Amazon ads. But I found through spending all this time learning about it that, like Danger's Problem, where it's like the book's not marketable. So if you have a book about, like a Foster Homes and Flies, where it's like, okay, you've got a kid who wants to go to the spelling bee. His mom's dead, so he ignores her body for a week so that he can hit the spelling bee. It doesn't fit any kind of like it's not so closely comparable to other stuff that I can and it's not part of a series, which is another huge thing. And so it's not it's like horror adjacent, but non-horror people who hate horror like the book, and people who like horror like the book. So there's not really any box that I can drop it into, and it makes it really, really difficult. And then I was too crafty with the title. And everything was like every decision that I've made, with whether it be the cover of my own book, the title of my book, the topic, I've tried to be as unique as possible, and it's kind of bit me. Where I've got friends who write like post-apocalyptic zombie stuff, and it has the same chick on the front with, it's just her silhouette, or the back view of her, and she's got a crossbow or a freaking shotgun or something, and she's staring at the ruins of. We've all seen this cover like 10,000 times. And he's making way more money selling this, or the same cover, telling the same story. Romance it makes the most money out there, and yet they're all telling the same story. You have to have a happy ending. So there's every one of these books is predictable, but people like familiarity. And I'm over here, Mr. I don't know, not pretentious, but like, well, I want to keep my art, and I'm not going to sell out. And I'm going to keep my art and it's kind of, but I see my friends, and it's like, they're not selling out. Fortunately for them, this is what they like. They like writing this, very they like writing cliche stuff, or they like writing stuff that has a real big huge market for it. So good for them. And they are making. I'll give you an example. My friend Dan wrote horror, and he put out a horror trilogy, and he put out like maybe 4 or 5 standalones. And then he was bringing in, and he self-published everything, and he was bringing in about $80 a month. And he's like, I think I'm done doing this. I'm not making any money. And then instead of quitting writing altogether, he switched to crime thrillers, specifically like serial killer thrillers, not real dark. He looked at other people doing that stuff in his thing. He learned Amazon ads and like crazy, and he joined the book. Some of you may have heard 50 books to 20K. Or is it 20 books to 50K? It's 20 books to 50K, isn't it? Anyway, he treated that as though it was Bible. A couple years go by, and he's writing in a series, and then he starts another series, and he starts another series. And last year he made like 350 grand, and he's continuing to make that. He makes
Holy shit.
Yeah, and it's all from changing genres, mastering Amazon ads, and writing in a series, which everybody that I know who is making a good living, they're like, dude, you have to write in a series. You have to. Yeah. And I don't mean to discourage anyone here, because I'm still not doing it, because it would feel like a job at that point. It's like, okay, I'll write a series. I'll write this vampire thing or this zombie thing or whatever. But it's always in the back of my head where it's like, yeah, okay, but maybe I could handle it feeling like a job all of a sudden instead of fun if I'm making 350 grand a year writing this stuff. So I don't know. I don't have, that's all the advice I have is just discouraging everyone.
But there's no guarantee you're going to make $350,000. No. You could just write something that you're not into and make no money on it.
Yeah.
And it just ends up in the pile with the other books that are hundreds of thousands of other books that are getting published every weekend.
It's just so easy to market something that already has a huge following. Yeah. And when they are looking at, that's why all the romance covers look the same. And that's why the big publishers, a lot of their books, I mean, we see trends like with the leisure books and the horror and stuff. You at a glance, you want to be able to tell exactly what you're getting. And nowadays, everything is like the whole book is just a font, and then might have some pretty colors or flowers or something. And it might be a horror book, and it's like got flowers on the cover, and the words are covering the whole thing. That's just, and then one day that'll be gone. And so they kind of know what they're doing, and they follow those trends. But I don't know if you guys maybe look into Amazon ads, you never know. And Brennan, you've got a series. You're going through a publisher. I don't know if you're going to want to spend money yourself on.
I made a little less than 350,000 on it last year.
Yeah. Wow. Well, then why don't we just sit back and listen to you then?
No, I think regardless of viability or success rate, I think we all just opened a document and untitled serial killer thriller. Book 1. Drew, I'd like to throw it to you because you have a little bit of a different perspective. You have debut novel coming up, and before you start, I want to throw out there I got to read an early arc of Freeburn, and it is a fucking intense, crazy thrill ride. That anybody looking for the unexpected, like, you're gonna want to pick this up. So, Drew, marketing, what do you think?
Oof. I will say the thing that's actually gotten me opportunities and gotten people interested, not social media, my website. So whenever I was updating, I made my website really pretty. I built a thing on Wix. It looks really cool. And I totally wrote these really good log lines and all of these like marketing things for my books. And that was actually what got me my opportunity and what piqued the interest of some people for Freeburn, because I put the first line of Freeburn up on the website and I was like, 666, just all of this really juicy stuff. And the first line of Freeburn is, I was pretty sure I'd had sex with Mallory Warner, which would have been great, really. We finally got laid, pincer monster me, folks. But I was also pretty sure we killed someone last night. So I knew that was a really good tagline. So I had that up there. I did that with Divine Flesh. Oof, but social media. I am really good at solving problems. If you need me to structure a novel, I can do that. You need me to paint a painting, I can do that. You need me to meet a deadline, I can do that too. I can meet a deadline for the deadline. I'm really good at that. If you need me to do just about anything, I can make it happen. And if I don't know how, I'll find a way. There's just one thing I can't do, and I've never really been able to do: be likable. And that's really the key to succeeding on social media. I'm a Luddite. I never had any social media. I'm 24. I never had any social media growing up. I didn't like I had Pinterest, but I mean that's not really social media. You just gather your pins. I didn't even have like a Facebook until I was 19. Like we're talking none of that. I'm just a giant recluse. I had to have somebody in the writing community be like, Drew, you need to have like a Twitter. And so I started Twitter in 2022. I did a little bit of Instagram for my art a few years before that, but I ended up having to stop Instagram because it was just not good for my mental health. And I was terrible at promoting my books. I was great at promoting my art though. Yeah, it's just, yeah. So now Twitter is going down the drain. So I'm just going to see what the next big thing is, and I'll probably do an account on that. But when it comes to Twitter, I don't even scroll because I have ADHD. I know I'm going to blow a lot of time on it and I'm going to feel bad and it's going to achieve nothing but making me feel depressed. It's not worth it. Touching grass, that's the big thing here. That's the key to mental health in my experience. So I go on Twitter, I just do updates. I don't even scroll. I literally just I have the app closed. I don't even have it on my home screen on my iPhone. I have it off the home screen, so I don't even like see it. I'm like that with all the social media stuff. Again, I deleted Instagram, so I just open Twitter. I just press the notifications before it starts scrolling, so I don't even get caught there. And I just look at my notifications, look at my DMs, and I feel bad because, sometimes I'll see, people I like doing stuff and I try to get in there and like some things and do some comments because I do care about people. I care about this community. I care about the state of art and where it's heading in culture right now. I think the indie world and self-publishing is so important. I really think that's where we're seeing this outpouring of creativity. But yeah, I know at some point I'm probably going to have to like white knuckle my way through something, but besides Twitter, but until I get to that point, until they come out with the next big thing, I'm going to just see where that heads. I might do Amazon ads for Freeburn. I'm still figuring it out. I've been giving out these stickers with the Freeburn ARCs. My publisher was like, Drew, you need to go to StokerCon. So I'm going to StokerCon in 2024, which will be good because it's a few months before Exodontists comes out. So I'm going to do some art for Exodontists and just give it out at StokerCon, try to get some friends, I would say my art, that's kind of the thing I have. But yeah, now if I could have that likability and I could put it on, I would do it even if I didn't like it. I can do things I don't like. It's just the fact that I don't like doing it and I suck at it. So I'll figure it out. That's where I'm like, that's what my publishing house is supposed to do, right? I mean, that's what they take all the percent for.
That's what the 50% is for, exactly.
Yeah. I want to say something. Go ahead, man.
Oh, no, sorry. Chad, go ahead.
I just want to say something to Drew. I'm familiar with everyone here. I don't know that I've been in the same room with anyone here before, other than our hosts. So anyway, it's nice being here, by the way. Finally talking to you guys, because I know that we've interacted or seen each other and are familiar with each other. Drew, I wasn't so familiar with you, so I went to your website and I was like, this chick has a cool website, man. And I read your thing and I was like, oh, this book sounds cool. And I was like, I think I was getting ready to go to Amazon. I was going to read a sample because I wanted to see more, and it wasn't out. And I was like, oh man.
Yeah. It's not up on Amazon yet, and it's not up on Goodreads yet either, which they're working on it. But yes, one of my ARC readers was like, can this go up on Goodreads? I do have a Goodreads account. I don't go on it. So this is a little embarrassing. I have content blockers so I don't waste time on the internet. It's basically bricked my laptop. I turn off the Wi-Fi when I'm working. So I had to put Goodreads on my content blocker because I was just spending way too much time reading reviews, and
You're smart. You're smart for not having social media until you're 19 and all of that. Yeah. And also I wanted to tell Danger, dude, yeah, maybe you should. You seem like you might be good on TikTok. And don't worry about the age thing. I have an account on there with 600 some followers. I don't know why. I have 3 videos up there that are just me playing with my ferrets, but I am on the fence with doing some videos. I'm not going to twerk or anything like that, but
I think you should.
If I can, I mean,
consider that, Chad.
You should twerk after you get 500,000 for Amazon ads.
But you should, yeah. I mean, 40 years, dude. I'm almost 54, so you're all right.
Yeah.
I had a funny idea for TikTok videos, like a little series of videos where I'm just kind of walking down the street and I'm just talking to my phone, right? Oh, blah 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 blah, and then all of a sudden I trip, and then I'm just falling through a black void and screaming. And that's it.
There you go.
That's every video. It ends with just me falling through a black void screaming.
That's just the vibe nowadays, man. I mean,
don't worry about the age thing though, because I get told I'm old all the time, like every day.
What the fuck?
I'll use the wrong emoji. I mean, I'm 31, but to those kids, like they're like, "Oh, were you alive when Jesus was born?" And I'm like, "Yes, I was."
Holy shit!
Life used to be black and white when I was a kid.
I did have my first student refer to the 1900s. Were you born in the 1900s the other day? That was a new one for me.
My teenager has asked me that one too, and I just kind of looked at him like, "You want me to punch you now or later?" Which one? I just wanted to add to all of the marketing advice. So you all had very specific things to say, which is great because all of those are great means. But my advice would be is also make sure you're branching out and using a consistent combination of all your avenues. You have readers who are not on social media. You have readers that are not on TikTok, that are not on Facebook, that only go to the bookstores, that only order from the libraries, that you could reach through so many other avenues out there. The 2 key things is to branch out and use all the avenues that you are capable of using and being consistent in using those avenues. Think of it like a circular rotation, if you will. And even if you wanted to set up a schedule for your year, your month, your week, whatever it is. So on Monday, you're going to post a TikTok video, maybe your last week or your last month, or hey, these are the cool things that, I've read or I've released last month. And on Tuesday, you're going to do an Instagram post. And on Wednesday, you're going to do a Twitter post. And then on Thursday, you're going to do your Facebook post. And then on Friday, you're going to set up your email promotion post. You guys know what I'm talking about when I say that. We've all seen Written Word and BookBub and Fussy Librarian. Utilize those, because do you know how many readers solely go off of those email promotion newsletters they get? Why? Because it's easy, and that subscription that they signed up for already did the work. They're going to hand deliver them new romance, new horror books, new Western, and they're going to give them exactly what they want. And they're going to say, hey, this is free this week. This is 99 cents. This just came out. You want to branch out consistent and branch out on all those avenues you can use, because that's going to put your name in front of the masses, not just that crowd,
Right.
not just TikTok, not just Instagram. You want your face, your name, your book covers. You want that recognition consistent. And even if it doesn't work that first month, it might work that second month, because they're going to see you. They're going to remember, they're going to recognize, they're going to see your book cover, they're going to see your name, and it's like, let me click this. I've been seeing this person out here, so let me see what they're about. But if you try it once and you're like, well, I didn't get any sales from that promotion, so I'm never going to do that again. Well, you just stab yourself in the foot, because now you just alienated how many thousands of people they have access to, but you weren't giving them enough of a chance to recognize and remember and want to click that link. Just make sure you're using the avenues you have available. Don't go broke, but use the avenues you have and be consistent, so you're consistently reaching that crowd on a regular rotation. It doesn't have to be every week or every month, but hey, maybe every other month you're going to do an ad on Written Word or Fussy Librarian or BookBub or whatever. And then, you try it again 2 more months. But that consistency is what helps get your name out there, because people start recognizing and remembering. That's what I do. That has what has worked for me. I'm everywhere. I'm on TikTok. I hate it. I don't speak. I don't do videos. I do little slideshows of book covers, and I type little taglines, whatever, and I reshare everyone's post that I come across. But I have close to 5,000 followers on there. I've got like 4,000 on Twitter. I don't know how many on Facebook, but I'm consistent on when I use it, what I do, and it's, I just try to utilize all of those different things in a rotation, rather than just, hey, this is Facebook and I'm only going to use Facebook. Well, you just alienated like half the world, because not everyone's on Facebook. It feels like it, but not everyone's on Facebook. So branch out, use them all, learn them all. Don't be afraid of them, but also make sure that you're branching out and using what is out there.
Yeah.
I mean, Candace, you built your own platform too. I mean, I really admire what you've done with Uncomfortably Dark. Like, that is beyond all these things. Like, it is literally a platform, not just for you, but like for other authors to use, which you're clearly now using to kind of leverage into what I'm sure is going to be a successful publishing endeavor. So it's like, it's really like, I mean, that's, we're all talking about using other people's kind of routes and in the paths that are well worn before it, and you're kind of out there forging your own path. You didn't even talk about it when you were going through all that stuff. That is what you're doing.
I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't have a plan. It's just sort of like how it morphed into, and I'm the type that I like to help, and I don't really enjoy the spotlight, but my platform gave me a way to help everyone around me, and it gave me a way to remain relevant when I wasn't releasing stuff, because it allowed me to like get to know a bunch of authors and help them and network with them and support them, and it gave me a way to create a platform that I can continuously use, because that brand is recognizable now. I have that, and people are like, oh yeah, I know that. And people go to the website for not just me. They go there to find their favorite authors or publishers or presses or reviews on everybody. And yeah, it's nice, it's cool, but I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't intend to like forge my own path. I was just like, well, this works, and let me throw this in here. But it was more about using all of the avenues that I found that were out there, and allowing other people to kind of jump on and use that avenue too. Like, hey, this is working for me. Let me add this. And I like to help and support, and I wouldn't be where I am without those that embraced me and welcomed me and said, hey, you need to do this, and here, let me help you with this. I wouldn't be here without that. So this is my way of helping the new ones and the newer ones and the next ones. Like, here, let me put you here and let me review you. Let me put you here. And, it just now it's this big monster of a thing that I don't know how to stop.
Yeah, don't let it. It's great. Like, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's an out of control monstrosity.
The snowball, man.
Snowball.
Yeah, let it roll.
Giant,
let the snowball roll.
uncomfortably dark snowball.
Rhonda, I want to make sure we throw the marketing thing to you too. Now, you may have a totally different direction to take this, but what I think of when I think of you is after you put out your collection, Hell Hath No Sorrow, Like a Woman Haunted, you sent me this lovely package, very, very thoughtful and intricate. And frankly, that's a way of marketing, of making your name stick with readers. So talk about that, or if you have a different, avenue of marketing than we've chatted about so far.
Rhonda, before you answer, I just want to piggyback on Brendan's thing. I rarely keep packages. I have kept in that package every single thing that you added to it. And also, I almost never keep envelopes for letters, but I'll keep the letters from friends. But I kept your letter because it had, I don't know what the name is. It's a stamp where you literally melt the wax and you press your stamp into it. That's really neat. That shit sticks out. And I mean, it makes it even better that you're a friend, but I think it's worth knowing all that stuff. That is very cool. I will
Listeners,
shut up now.
don't send things to Patrick. He will throw them out unless you are Rhonda.
There goes your present, Pat.
Guys, y'all are sweet. I'm such a hippie, and I think that my approach to marketing is literally understanding my strengths so that I can use them to keep my weaknesses from biting me in the butt. So one of my weaknesses is I literally suck at selling stuff. I suck at sales. I do. I've tried it in different iterations over the past, 100,000 years, and I really suck at sales. So I do a couple of different things. What I do is, first of all, I go and find people who can do the things that I don't know how to do. So when my collection was coming out, I went on Fiverr and I hunted for an artist who could bring those characters to life for me. And I hired him. He was an MFA student, and I paid him. I still feel like I stole something from him, but like he was so amazing with these drawings, right? Because I think that artists need to be paid for their work. So I paid him. And when my publisher asked if we could use them, I bought the license from him and everything, because again, you need to be paid for this stuff. And I found him because I can't draw either. Like I can't draw, I can't paint. I do not art that way. So I wanted to have something that felt like me, that felt like these stories, something that feels like what I feel like my brand is. And then I just lean into that. So I'm kind of one of these failed Dolly domestics. So I'm that person who has Pinterest, and I browse the craft store hallways looking for stuff, and I go, oh, I think I could do that. And sometimes I can do it, sometimes I can't. But I have an eye for what I think is cool, what I think is cool. So I am an old, I'm right there with you, Chad. We're like in that same age group, right? So yes, except you don't look at it. I'm looking at you and I'm like, really? Okay.
Thank you.
Right, sure. I believe you because you said so. But I understand that authenticity and being a real fan of the genre is huge. So I sit down and I think about when I get something from a writer, or when I'm a fan, what do I like to have? Well, I like stuff. I like stickers. So I thought, hey, let's make some stickers. And I go, oh, I love this artwork and I have the creative license for it. Why don't we put these pictures on postcards? And I thought I would love that. Like as a fan, I love that. I love buttons. I love keychains. I love the wax seals are like, because I swear that in another life I was a Victorian fainting lady. I'm still practicing my fainting. And so I thought these wax seals, I use this in my regular everyday life. I use them for cards and letters in real life. So let's do that. I think it's important to be authentic also though, because there are times when I'm at an event and I'm supposed to be hand selling my books where I will literally send a person to somebody else's table. Or I remember one time I was in a mall, and I was the only horror writer that was there, like these children's writers. And I mean, I love them, but I'm the spooky one. And I say to them, they say, you always come out with us, like, and you do pretty well. I say, well, because my people will find me. They know when they see my display, they see my demeanor, they come and talk to me. They know that I'm a real fan of the genre. So I remember we were at a mall event and we were next to Barnes and Noble, but these are like independent writers, right? And I'm small press published. And this guy came over to the table. He goes, "Oh, so you have horror? Well, I'm kind of not into those things." I said, "Well, what kind of horror do you like?" And he tells me, and I go, "I know what book you need to buy." I sent him right over to Barnes and Noble to buy Gabino Iglesias's book, "The Devil Takes You Home," because what he described was exactly that. And so it was exciting for me as a fan to be able to talk to another fan and know that I've read this stuff. So if somebody were to come to me and say, I like this stuff that is just very surreal, that is very meta. And if they came to my table, I would go, I don't know that I have anything like that, but I did read House of Rod by Danger Slater. So you might want to go check that one out. So it's genuine. Like I am honestly a fan. People can see my enthusiasm. I mean, I sold a copy of my collection to a lady who was a scholar. She's in a grad school program that's like an art history class with a focus on art from marginalized people. And so she comes to the table when I was at Libby Barnes and Noble Libby Place last month. And she says, "Oh, this is interesting." She says, "I'm working on a paper about taking artwork and tying it to the theme of identity on marginalized people. And I just wonder, like, would you happen to have, I don't really read horror, but would any of your stories happen to speak to this?" And I go, absolutely. They absolutely do. So, I mean, I can put on these different hats because I'm really those people. I don't try to just do stuff and like, I'm not going to follow trends because I suck at that. And again, I'm too old for that. I don't have time for that. Like, I will do what I know I can do. And most of that is being a genuine fan of the genre, being able to talk to people authentically, and to be able to send people stuff that I would want to have, things that make me feel good about what I do. And I think that that's really important because a lot of times, and that's not to say that we should step out and branch out. Like I go to events anyway. I go to tables to hand sell anyway, knowing that I suck at that part. But I also know that I'm bringing my strengths to that, which is just, I'm a huge fangirl at heart. So, I can talk to anybody about anything in the horror genre, about the books I've read, the movies that I've seen, where I think it's going. And so I think that people pick up on that enthusiasm and they go, man, she really loves this. I might need to see if she kind of writes like that too. And then they kind of go, yeah, she does. She's the whole mess. And okay, but we like it fine.
The cliche academic either. Like when at least me, when I think of academia, I think of a bunch of snobby dudes and you're
exactly
just really approachable, but you're just as smarter. I'll say you're smarter than those bastards, and that's what makes it cool. I mean, yeah, that's what makes it real interesting with you. You got the best of both worlds with that stuff.
I think so. Yeah.
I really like how you talked about basically raising people up. And Candace actually made a post about this recently about how like she ain't anyone's competitor in the writing world. And I think that's true. I really do.
Yeah.
Like at the bottom of my heart, because your readers are going to go to whoever they go to. It's like trying to control a loving relationship, and I do air quotes with loving. And if one partner were to try to control the other one, like if someone wants out or if they're gonna betray you, they're gonna do that no matter what you do. And in this case with readers, if they're magnetized towards one over the other, like you can try to sell them your book, but who says they're going to read it? If they don't like it, they don't like it. So your approach is more opening. And if I didn't like you're kind of what you write, I'd be more receptive to that personally. Candace, do you want to cover anything else before we go to not final thoughts, sorry, the other question you had?
No, we can go into the next one.
Okay.
Do you want me to ask it?
Yeah, because honestly, I forget what it was.
Okay. So before we wrap, what has been a great night, we want to kind of go down the road and ask you guys who we should be reading. Who can you recommend that needs more eyes, more attention, underrated? Who do you read that you're like, you need to read this? So let's start with who's been quiet for a minute. Let's start with Brianna. Who should we be reading?
Bree Morgan, I said it.
So I full bias because she's one of my best friends in the world, but I introduced her to Candace. I introduced her to a couple people at AuthorCon last year, but my friend Samantha Eaton, she has 2 books out now. They're both YA horror. It's she changed the title of one of them. The Roots in Your Bones, I think it is now. That just came out. And
right.
yeah. The other was The Hunger of Insatiable Trees.
Those are cool
Super
titles.
duper proud of her. Yeah, she's a badass. She's a great writer. She tried to go the tribe route for a while, and ultimately it wasn't the best fit. And I'm like super proud of her because I kind of coached her through the self-publishing process, and it's just been a joy to see her kind of blossom as a writer and see what especially the indie horror community has to offer. Because I told her everyone would be great to her, and thankfully everyone has, of course, been great to her. So that's good. So I think everyone should read Samantha Eaton's books for sure. I think she's working on another one right now. She writes a lot of like it's borderline eco horror, but it has some really fucked up body horror stuff in it too. So it's very good.
Nice. Chad, how about you, sir?
You guys know I'm going to say John Bowden, right?
Yes,
Do
absolutely.
it.
I didn't
Yeah,
know you knew him, honestly.
Can I say skins?
highly underrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, just yeah. Another one I guess would be Hamlin Bird. He has written I've only read 2. I think he's got 3 books out. I've read 2 of them. Great stuff. Tim McGregor. I've only read one of his books. Really liked it. Autumn Christian. I read one. I read what's the bomb one? I can't. Girl Like a Bomb.
Like a Bomb.
That was okay, but I mean the writing was great. But I read her short story collection. I think it's called A Static Inferno, and I mean some of it is too far out there for your average audience. But when I feel like if she were to drop some of the insanity in there, she could write circles around most people. I know she could write circles around me. I'll never be able to write that good. But yeah, those 4 come to mind. And I'm going to say Joe Lansdale only because somehow the world I still run into people all the time who have no idea who Joe Lansdale is. They've never read him. So he's clearly not, doesn't need the attention, but if you haven't read him, my gosh, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I know for sure that you will find the opposite of that, what you just said with Joe, in Italy. I don't know why it's in Italy, but he's like Stephen King. It's weird.
It's like
Some
Hasselhoff with the Germans.
Or Richard Lehman too, wasn't he? I think it was Germany for him. He had a huge fan base in there.
I think so. Yeah. Drew, you out there? Did we lose?
Oh,
Drew?
she's muted.
She's muted.
Sorry. Okay, when I read Noose, I'm gonna say Brennan LaFaro, not just because you're on this podcast with me. I like couldn't put it down. I was the same for the sequel too. And that doesn't happen very often to me with books nowadays. I've just read so many, I can kind of see the twists coming. Your use of voice just gripped me like right from page 1. I was very invested. I was like, Rory Daggett, what's going on with this dude? Great action scenes. And I also want to say Stephanie Nelson. who just had her debut come out with Dark Matter Inc.
Yeah.
She writes very, very well. When I read her debut, The Vein, I was very, very, she does a lot of intertwining plot lines, and it's a lot like reading something old fashioned Stephen King.
Nice.
Very good.
Nice. All right. Rhonda, I think you're up next, ma'am.
So I'm gonna give the same kind of response like Brianna did because we just love our homies, and especially when they're super talented, it's like I'm such a fan, and she's so humble. And I don't know how she can be such a rock star and yet be so genuinely humble. Like I tease her all the time because I'm telling her stuff where people will say something to her, give her a compliment, and then she just gets what she calls the hot face. I mean, literally blushing all the time. But everybody needs to read something by Elle Marie Wood. I am a huge fan.
Wait, who is it?
And
I
her round,
couldn't hear you.
Al Marie Wood.
Elle Marie Wood.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, her round series is so wonderful, and I'm super excited that the first book in that trilogy has been optioned for film, and
Nice.
I'm really rooting for it to come across because it's such a cinematic type story, and so that series has been put back out by Mocha Memoirs Press. So if you all haven't read anything by her, I think that's a really good place to start. But she's also like a Jane of all trades. So she writes these really great academic pieces. She actually has a craft book out on how to write horror. She writes poetry. There's nothing that she doesn't do. And so I think that everybody kind of needs that in their life.
Yeah.
I also would say that everybody really needs to read Johnny Compton. His first novel came out earlier this year, The Spite House, from Tor. And when I say that his storytelling voice is phenomenal, it is one of those things that like I had the book, but I'd been hearing him read excerpts from it. So I had it for like a couple of months before I actually sat down and read it because I was scared. I was like, oh my gosh, how am I so nervous to read this book? And every time I think about it, I'm like, no, I'm in a hotel room by myself. I got to wait till I get home. And then I decided, which I don't think is the best course of action, but I decided I was going to read it on our cruise. Earlier this year, ended out last year, and I thought I'm in the middle of the ocean reading this creepy book. I don't know if it was the best thing, but it was so atmospheric. It was very Southern Gothic. And then he read a story that he had that was on published before, maybe with Pseudopod, I think. And I could be mistaken about that, but that story was this same grasp of language, this same atmosphere. And I thought, man, anything you put out, I'm buying just on site, just because you wrote it. So yeah, everybody needs to read some Johnny Compton too.
All right. Danger, you're up.
Yeah. I want to just call more attention to Tenebrous Press. They're the ones that put out House of Rot, but not talking about myself. They have a collection of books that have been coming out. They're relatively new press. The reason I wanted to work with them is because I had a real good feeling about who they were as people and the kind of eye on the kind of horror that they wanted to put out. And they've proven my instincts right because they have just put out a bunch of books this year. I think 6 or 8 books this year, and they have a whole slew coming out next year of just like horror books that are just a little different than what you might find in other places. And I'll make a special call special attention to Carson Winter, who's a buddy of mine who's also a writer there, but he wrote a book called Soft Targets, which is about a workplace shooting, which sounds like really heavy material, and it is, but it is also treated with a lot of irreverence in a way, and a lot of like it's hard to explain this book.
That's so weird. Like I just finished it last night.
It's hard to kind of explain why you want to recommend this to somebody, but it is just a really well written book, and he's a great writer. And if people haven't read him yet, I would kind of point them in his direction.
Brennan, who do you have, sir?
Honestly, I think I would throw it at everybody on this panel. Candace, if people picked up Desperate Wishes and Unmasked, your poetry collection, I dare anyone to pick up both of those and not find at least something that really, really speaks to them. Rhonda, I've talked about your collection ad nauseum. I was so thrilled to see it nominated for a Stoker, right alongside Paula D. Ashes. Like, what a year to see those two collections like right up at the top. Briana, the Reyes incident was one of my favorite recent books, and I have been just anxiously waiting for Tiger Cult to hit my mailbox. So, I mean, no pressure or anything.
Mine too, please.
Knowing that you worked with Andy Spencer to edit it, I know that the screws could not be any tighter on that damn thing. You probably went through like months of rigorous stress, but the manuscript is amazing for it. Danger Moonfellows was really, really cool book, and I hope that people will pick it up and put you on that road to a new house in Portland. For Patrick, I know a lot of people first got exposed to his work this year through the story It Calls in Hot Iron and Cold Blood, and I do think that is their gateway drug into the world of McDonough, and we'll see a lot more going forward. Chad, I don't think I've read a book from you that I didn't absolutely love, with The Pale White being, an absolute favorite. Everything you write is fabulous. And Drew, I already talked about Freeburn, but obviously Dark Matter has a lot of faith in you because they signed you to 3 fucking books for next year. We're going to be drowning in Drew Huff, and that's not a bad thing by any stretch of the imagination. But for people who are not on this panel, I'm gonna go with Rhonda and Brianna's kind of variety of I'm just gonna go with my homies. Tyler Jones is somebody who people should be reading. I love his book Midas, but you can't get it anymore until a press picks it up. So in the meantime, I would grab either Heavy Oceans is his new novella through Dark Lit, cosmic weird ass fish horror, or Burn the Plans is his story collection, which is absolutely fantastic.
And Patrick.
I got 2. One's on the panel. That's Drew.
Wow. Okay.
Thanks.
I got 2.
It's Drew. I feel like I told her this already, probably a lot, but I feel like because I got to read one of her first published short stories and then her novel, her debut, I feel like I got to get a sneak peek before the world gets to see how good of a writer she is. She's uniquely special. And that's the best way I can put it. And I can't believe how goddamn young you are to be this intelligent. Your like intellectual level and understanding, appreciate, like,
Thanks.
I'm not making comments at anyone but myself here, but I've been really trying to be a novelist for like going on 11 years, and I feel like it's just starting to click, and I'm gonna be 35, and I'm not saying I'm too young, too old, whatever, but like in your 20s, I don't know, I feel like that's kind of uncommon to be at your level, so I'm really excited to see you grow. And then the other one is Robert Ford. That guy has broken some new kind of writing in himself in the best of ways, where he's just writing at a level that I don't understand. Like book wise, he's putting out in the last 2 years. He's going on his 15th. It's Ghost for it, and so I can't like name him, but wow, I don't know how that's possible. So them two, but the book that I would recommend by Robert Ford is The Dead Pennies that just came out this year. It's so fucking creepy. It is. I wouldn't recommend eating food during some of it. That's just me. I'm a wuss. I can't eat food during certain horrors. So,
and you don't want to get those Cheeto fingers on book pages.
No, you don't.
I love Cheetos.
Candace, who should people be reading?
who everybody on this panel and everybody on my website and everybody I've ever talked to in life that might happen to be an author.
That's too many.
The serious answer would be definitely everyone here and everyone that has already been mentioned. I've read them all. I've loved them all. But Drew, yeah, I was lucky enough to edit some of your work, and ma'am, I cannot wait for people to see it. So, yeah, I will be watching you because you have a stellar career ahead of you at the age that you are and at the level, like Patrick just said, at the level you are at. And not only the level, but your range, your absolute range in the stories that I've edited, that I've read, that I have been exposed to so far. Yeah, the world is not ready for you.
Right.
So definitely you. One of my own authors, if I may be so bold, Mike Talk. The man wrote a brilliant novel that came out in September called Cuckoo. Brennan, I believe, was one of the people who blurbed it as well. And it is one of those novels that doesn't quite fit any one field. It's not horror, it's not a love story, it's not grief, it's not, but it's everything. It's one of those just, it transcends everything
It's
that we
human.
write. It is everything. It is the entire human experience in this one just surreal fever dream of pure emotion, and it's brilliant. Um, he can write everything from horror to free verse, poetry. He's my co-author on the Bishop books as well. He's very, very underrated, and I swear if you read anything of his, you will not regret it. Who else is out there right now that's just blowing up the world? Caitlin Marceau is another one who's just on fire right now. She's amazing. If you've not read her, please do. If you're into horror, extreme horror, slasher fiction, you need to be reading Christopher Ruffy. He's been around for a while, but he has got a style like you would not believe.
I just
He's
finished
one of my
Pillowface
favorites.
tonight.
Yeah,
It's so fucking good.
it's phenomenal. And actually, he's one of the reasons why I write now. And I've been reading him long, long before I became a writer. So, I mean, he's one, I could go on for like days, but there's so many. And all joking aside, check the platform out because the list of people that are on there, the indie author directory listing, their reviews that are out there. These are people that I fully support. I stand behind. I believe in. I've read their work. I vouch for them and who they are and their skills. The indie world right now is just on fire. So it's amazing.
Yeah. We're gonna do
Controversial statement. I have read a lot of better indie and self-pub stuff than what I've seen come out of the big five in the last few
Yeah.
years. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
say it.
Yep.
I'm
Same.
not
It's
even
the way it
talking
is.
like personal preference. I'm talking like basic things
Yeah.
like craft, writing mechanics. I mean,
Yeah.
people can read what they want to, but it's just definitely interesting.
Also, the
Yeah.
originality right now. There's something to be said for the utter uniqueness of what is coming out of the indie world right now that the top five does not have. You get used to those recipes sort of. You got A, B, and C, and it checks all the boxes, and people kind of know where the story is going to take them. But the indie world right now is kind of grabbing you by the balls and it just pulls you along for that ride. And you have no idea where you're about to go or how far or how fast. And the originality coming out of indie right now is incredible. And not to mention that the amount of movie deals that I've been hearing about that people are getting right now, the world is ready. The world is ready for something new and something different and something unexpected. And indie is where it's at right now. I firmly believe that. It's been amazing. So,
People love real creativity. People
yeah,
do not like all of this mass-produced stuff and the AI shit. People,
it gets boring.
I don't, so none of my family reads. I mean, I live in a pretty rural conservative area. Like little pocket of Eastern Washington, which is a desert. And yeah, no, like even people that don't read want to see something new. People like the human spirit, originality, creativity. People like stories about the things that make us uniquely human. They're just, especially now in times like this where things are so turbulent on so many different levels, people really do. I mean, they love creativity. They really do.
Yep. Yep.
We're going to go to final thoughts and then say goodnight. So,
All right.
final thoughts. We will start with Danger Slater.
I don't have any final thoughts.
Thank you, sir. Next.
I don't have next.
Dude, you can make any noise. You can say pass and I'll be final. Whatever you want.
I can make a noise. Can I? Okay.
You see the cat, because I know there's a cat.
No one's taken me up on that offer before.
Yeah, I know. My
That cat is
cat's been
giving me major xenomorph vibes. It's like it keeps coming up like aliens.
He keeps circling me and he wants me to pay attention. He likes I'm sitting at my desk where I write, and he usually sits on my lap while I'm writing. But I'm not writing right. I'm doing this instead. So he's a little confused about why I'm talking and doing so many stuff. He's not here now, but I have a tattoo of him. So I'll just show you. Oh, wait, that's Mr. Burns. There he is.
Wait, did you just say your cat's name is Mr. Burns?
No, that I had a tattoo of Mr. Burns next to the tattoo of my cat.
That would be a great name for a cat. I want to steal that one.
His name's Bubbles.
It's not as funny. No, but seriously, you got any final thoughts?
No, just thanks for inviting me on the show. I'm happy. What is this, season 4? You said the season finale. Happy to finally be here on the show. Season 4.
We gotta do a solo with you too, sir. Chad.
If you're ever on a panel with Rhonda and you're feeling bummed out, just look at her and watch her smile.
Right,
she's smiling so big right now.
I love it. She has the opposite of resting bitch face. That's great. That's it.
It's true. It is absolutely true. Drew.
I feel like I said a lot of my final thoughts. I mean, that kind of came out earlier just now, but I do want to add something else. Every single person that engages in the act of creative work, whether it's writing, whether it's art, as long as it comes from that wellspring of originality within the human psyche, every single person that engages in creative work is doing something brave. I truly do believe that. I think it's so easy for all of these tech bros and all of these assholes out in the world to just really degenerate and shit on what they don't understand because they themselves have a lot of issues. But truly, the best ideas were something somebody imagined at one point. Creativity, and there's this quote by Joe Hill in Nosferatu that springs to mind. Anything that was real at one point was at one point just something, a fantasy. It was our creative capacity to take a thought and make it real. That truly. Sorry, I'm very muddled. My neck is sore. I think I'm coming down with something. I've kind of just been trying to drink fluids, but yes. And anyone that's listening to this podcast, if you're working on a project and you're feeling really bummed out, just keep working on it. It's not about the end result. It's not about the money. It's not about, I mean, I say that I have a day job. It's about the creative process. And the fact that you do it and engage in it is in and of itself a very rare feat. Most people don't have the bravery and the discipline to keep doing it, even when it's hard, even when it sucks. All of us and anyone listening, truly, creativity is what I think is going to eventually mend the world if it's capable of being mended.
Well said. Bree.
So I don't really have any final thoughts except it's been a great year for horror. It sounds like next year, even just from this group of panelists, is going to be a great year for horror. And I would just love to see the indie horror world keep booming like it is.
Absolutely. Rhonda.
The last thing I want to say, first of all, thanks so much for having me again. I always like to play with y'all. This has been a wonderful, wonderful panel, and I'm super excited when I can say I've read something from everybody on here. Like, that's great, right? It's an awesome flex. So I just want to leave everybody with the idea that this horror community is truly a village.
Mhm.
Again, I'm a hippie. I truly believe in helping each other. And as one of us rises, that means that all of us rise. And
Mhm.
so all the competitiveness, all the, petty cattiness and all that other stuff, we don't need it here in our village because we all can thrive and we have to help each other to do that.
Well said. Brennan.
Well, first off, I meant to earlier say thank you to Drew for the kind words about the about Noose and about the Demon of Devil's Cavern, which is the sequel. Um, to have somebody who created such a a wellspring of creativity in Freeburn look at read two of my books and say, "Holy shit, this is storytelling." Um, man, did that make some did that kindle some warmth in my heart. Really, really good stuff. And beyond that, thank you to everybody who made the season 4 finale possible. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Thanks for coming. Thanks for writing amazing stuff. And we look forward to more of it in the future.
Candace.
I rambled enough for one night, so I'm gonna end this with thank you all for everything, for your time, for your stories, for your words, for you absolutely just here as the people that you are. It's appreciated. I like it, and I hope to see you all back.
And I'll just say thank you, Candace, Brian, Rhonda, Drew, Bree, Danger, and Chad. Thank you, listeners and viewers. Um, this is a cool way to end a season. This is the first time we've done a panel for it, and gonna pick better people. So appreciate you guys taking almost 2 damn hours. I did not think it was gonna be this long. I promised, Danger. I told you earlier. So, oh my god. Thank you guys. I don't know what else to say besides I appreciate y'all, and here's to fun and whatever your version of success is, a successful 2024. Really blessed to call you guys my friends, and here's to more conversations and learning and growing together. So everybody, we'll be back next year, unless this is coming on in January 1st. We'll be back later this year, later this month. You have many choices to pick in podcasts. There's a lot of great ones. Talking Scare, this is hard to name two. But thank you for picking us, and farewell. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I
Bye.
Bye.